Okay, we are back at the 443rd Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, July 28th, 2022. Mr. Kesh, are you ready to deal with some questions here now?
Yes, but I want to just go back on just what you just shown as advertising for the moving a cargo or for passengers. If you understood what we said at the beginning of today, where we are about to go on the mobile transmutation, then you understand the next step in the process of transportation. If you want to ship things around, the way we expanded the soul of the man beyond the physicality of the man and we move the envelope is the next step for transportation of goods. If you go back into this system, the original system, which is here, and I don't know if the camera can be brought here, if you can go on our camera. I don't know how much you can move. You can't move because he's grounded. Can we go on the camera, please? Come back to the enhancement unit. If you go back, would you like to change the system, the screen, please, Rick, to allow us to come in? If you can share. Okay. When you look inside this system, again, look at the different dimension and not produce it as an enhancement unit for production material, using it as a soul, the same as what we did with you yesterday in your teachings, Rick, and extend the field of that center system beyond the physical boundary of this system. Doesn't matter how many tons you put in this container. You order a burger from Burger King, they put it in the envelope of a system which is preset like this. Now you call Uber or you call somebody else to deliver with a bicycle to your house, the food will be delivered down the line to you. This is not any more fairy tales. We've done, we know, and we are there to do. You have a cargo in China, you don't need to pay, I was told $17,000, $18,000 now to get a container from China into Europe. You increase the center, the container is here not in 8 weeks, the container here is in 8 seconds. Because now you can understand the implication of the technology. There you see it as a sun to create materials. Now we create as a soul for a system. And you see a lot of things changes. What happens to the customs? Who's going to pay the taxes for customs? Have you paid your VAT? Or we make a one nation, one planet, one race, and then we tax equal to pay for the expense of all of us across this planet. Not if you're American, you have a good time on the burden of the Africans, or if you can bring something from there on the burdens of South America or Asia. This is the change, and the governments have to get used to it very soon. So what you thought in the system for your soul to expand and travel where you want, or what we did yesterday, now we make the same system here. This is your new envelope. What you want to carry in it. Would we smuggle people the way we do nowadays? Or would we bring the joy and what you need at home and do the same delivery? Do we need huge containers, or we deliver item by item as you need instantaneously? Now you see the changes on, and the implication of it comes by the knowledge seekers. Governments would not listen till we actually deliver people. We have a problem here we have to resolve in the next few weeks with the Austrian government. Behind these doors, if you turn the camera, would you like to close your door, please? Just wait. Behind these doors here, as I turn, is the most advanced space technology man ever known. If I open this door, the systems are running. There is no difference between what's behind this curtain and what sits in that enhancement unit. Is the knowledge applied in two different ways. There you see a gap. Here we see the knowledge of the creation and the flight, the way the universal community flies. You can't see it, it's so beautiful. It's beyond imagination how a small system, smaller structure has changed the life of man for transport and everything else. If we go on to the level, go to the understanding of there is no difference between what sits behind that door and that door in the enhancement unit, now we solve the knowledge. We have managed to bring the science of theology and of physics together. And that's why we said the messengers of now, as it was at the beginning, bring the two together, because you cannot have one without that. You cannot run a system which has an emotion without understanding how you can use this emotion. So the two knowledge have no choice. They have come together out of the beauty of what we call sharing the knowledge so openly with all of you for past 20 years. Do we need to be aliens, to be foreigners? Do we need, as we heard this morning, what the Hungarian president said over the weekend in Romania about how many Jews you get in the matchbox? Do we need the rest of it which he came up? And all the rubbish, which is nations should be no others. Now you have not seen how the nations will mix. I like to live in Austria today. Next week, I like to be in Beijing. And the week after, I like to be in New York. And no government can control where I'll be. It's my decision. I decide, I travel. And I'm there instantly, as many of you have tested it in the system. So you see the two sides of the knowledge, the science and technology and ethos of what we call theology, the soul of the man now sits in this building. We have no choice. Through understanding of the knowledge in either way, we have brought it together to be one. And this goes back in a very simple way. Do we need religions? Do we need ayatollahs and popes when everything is in our hand? That bubble of energy is life, as Klaus just said. It's beautiful how you see life is created, bubble with bubble. And you are responsible for it. You don't need no religious man and no government to tell you anything else, because you decide how the ethos sits, where you want the soul be, and how you want your physicality to enjoy the presence of the soul. Now we go back, if there are any questions. It seems there are no questions. It's a good time to say goodbye.
Well, there's nearly 100 attendees here, and I remind them that they can raise their virtual hands in order to allow you to open your microphone. We have a hand up from Gatwa here. Dr. Gatwa, would you like to go ahead?
Yes, thank you very much. Rick, can you hear me well?
Yes, clearly.
Thank you. Thank you very much indeed. Good morning, Mr. Cash. This is Gatwa.
Yes, good morning, Dr. Gatwa.
Yeah, thank you very much. First is to thank you very much for bringing revolutionary technology, science and technology to the world that also brings peace. In fact, I see it as having potential to make all countries self-reliant and developed.
You don't need to, so it is there to be doing, it's doing it, it has no choice, it's upon us. We have
Exactly.
no.
And yes, and I appreciate very much. But I have a few questions. And the first one is when there is an outbreak of a virus or something like that that destroys lives, all countries of the world go into a frenzy trying to buy into whatever is on sale from various places, some of them fake, some of them not effective against such virus, but a lot of money is spent. But when this science and technology is brought to the world, it's open, it's everywhere, it's on the internet. Why are countries so blind? Why don't we hear about it? Why don't we see a frenzy of countries wanting to buy this technology? That's the first question, Mr. Kesh, but I have more.
First question, I think we answered you before. This needs to be charged. I answer you straight away. The only reason you're not getting it is because of this here, connection is here, Klaus, I have it, is because of the Kingdom of Belgium. The King of Belgium, in making a fake court case and saying we are fraud, has put a lot of things apart. That the governments go by what he said. We could not defend the case in Belgium. Dutch people went there, you saw what they did with him. Hitler didn't put armed officers in the court. Belgians did. They're ruthless. The Belgians are people who killed half of the African Congo. And one scientist to them is no difference. And we saw it. They put the closest person to me as a spy, informing before, preempting everything. This technology would not have been out if it still was a Belgium in our structure. This is the reason it's not there. The biggest spy in the Keshe Foundation, which we didn't know, the biggest pedophile we didn't know, was sitting inside the Keshe Foundation. We open this very soon for you with criminal conviction in pedophilia. We couldn't. They had a hold on the person with prison sentence for pedophilia. And we always said what happened around Keshe Foundation, why everything was around us. Documents in police stations and courts, documentation in newspapers. We release it when the time is right. The Belgians decided we take it or we destroy it, as they did with Congo. But this time, this technology was much bigger than Congo. It belongs to the creator, and the King of Belgium will be dust. Never ever remember. There will be no nation called Belgium because, you know, we all paid so much for it. We can talk very openly how Keshe Foundation was brought in. They knew the day of my assassination in Italy. We give you documents for it. The day when I was supposed to be assassinated, which Fabio got assassinated, according to all of you, as you know, I'm everywhere, wherever Mr. Kesh is. That day, I'm home, waiting for a death news. We don't tell you a lot of things. Now we are free, we can do what we do within time. You and I, Rick, 6 years ago, this time got banned from YouTube. You remember? Because we brought Sterling up and he went and claimed names. And 8 months later, we got him solitary prison for life for pedophilia. And the people around us knew how they brought it because they were benefiting by it. This is the reason we are not in news, because pedophiles, the Kingdom of Belgium and people in it, have a lot of things to do. It's the way they keep the other leaders in silence because they have pictures of them or whatever to do with them with children. When you got somebody by the neck, you can do whatever you like. So it's not in the news, but now it's in your hand. That's what it counts. Would it matter if it was a pigeon time when you send the message by pigeon and we would have discovered this technology and we had no television? Would it make any difference? Would it have made any difference if it was 20 years ago and we could show it? In a way, the time wasn't right. In a way, man had to learn the knowledge we have learned now. And I am very glad that we are free to teach the way we are teaching, and we are free to be able to share knowledge so freely. And we've done so for years to come. The whole beauty of it is we are here, it's now, and the knowledge is shared, and knowledge can be shared still so freely. And the beauty of it is, in the city of Linz, you have material life, you have plasma life, as you see on the screen, or you have flight system through the soul of the man behind the wall. The technology is the technology of the created. Knowledge is knowledge of creation. How we change it to a technology is in what we need and what demand for it. It's very interesting. Can I have that? Klaus, can I have that detector, please? We just had the smoke detector, which is what a CO2 detector, and it ran out of energy. No, the CO2 system you had. Yeah, bring it without charging it. We had to stop, take it out because you cannot charge yourself. We have to charge it to something. And it's going to be charged. You see the cap is open because I couldn't hear any more bleeping. So now we put it on the charger. What happens? In a few seconds, it runs out again. We can't charge it. What about if in the near future, we add the knowledge, what's inside this box, into this? Do you need batteries to charge? Do you need hoping that your CO2 or monoxide system has a battery and it runs out of battery, your child is in the room, accident happened with a fire, and monoxide kills the child? Do you rely on a man technology which fails, or do you rely on the knowledge of the creation that it works all the time? It's very simple. It's standing right in front of us. You all saw us, we put it in there, suddenly stopped, ran out of energy. I need to charge it, I need to plug it. And if I stand here, who charges this light in front of me? Who sends this energy, we call this energy of the sun, to me? Who charges it? What is in there above me is one inside me. It's beautiful when the sun shines on what we call the Son of Man. We created that sun inside. We haven't moved it. It has chosen. We have holes on the roof, on the ceiling, and what you get. The energy inside the system does not have the matter state and the failures of the system. And you always see the blue light still on. This is what we give you, not this. You want this, plug it in. You don't have this, you run out of energy. Throw it away. When you buy systems that will not rely on material state energy electron movement, and you work on a plasma technology, this is what you get. Very interesting thoughts. We always said that the bigger field gives to the smaller. Now we see the light, the sun itself, and we have a sun inside which is weaker. Has the energy of the universe and the sun connected to this, and me standing in between receive the energy which is transferred to this planet directly between the two. In a way, I get charged with it, I get evolved, my soul lights up, receiving the energy, being in between the two. The answer is yes. And now, do you need that battery, or do we need State of Belgium to decide nobody should know about it till we get our hands on it because we need more children for our pedophile kingdom? The answer is very simple. My name, my technology will last long, long after the pedophile kingdom of Belgium. And long after Fox is in control of news, which they're controlled by the same people. Now, your second question.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kesh. The second question is, let's say a country in Africa, let's call it country X, and a country in South America, Y, and Z in Asia, opens their eyes and accept this technology. Could you please explain briefly what it would take to transfer this technology to a country that actually spreads it within all its borders for the benefit of its citizenry?
Chinese are doing it. The Iranian government is doing it. Why the others hiding from it? The Chinese you've seen. This is what I've shown this before. We didn't go to do this. We didn't go out to put these things up. This comes to us from new knowledge seekers, which are around the world, and you send us pictures from what you see or what is being sent to you. Let me find it for you, and then you understand. This is what you are blinded with by the Belgians, and this is what Chinese do with the Keshe Foundation in China. I have to find it, then I can share it, then you understand. Nations are using it the way it suits them, and where it suits them, the way it suits them, and how they can benefit by it. There's a picture. I'm sure the Chinese guys in the background will get to it before I do, but I have it somewhere here. Then you understand, government use the Keshe Foundation technology as it suits them, where it suits them, and what it suits their nationals. It's a beautiful single picture. I have to find it. Usually see it very rapidly, but as usual, it's Keshe Foundation. You need to wait. The ganses need to grow. I'll find it, I'll show it to you. There we are. This is how government use us when it suits them. Chinese, high street, billboards, and that's what it is. It suits the Chinese government and Chinese authorities and whatever to put Mehran Tafakuri Keshe, show how it changes for them on the streets. You know the story of the pheasant? Pheasant, when it's a snow time, to find food, puts his head under the snow and his backside up, and he thinks, just because my head is under, nobody can see me. And that's how the man shoots a pheasant, with his back up. Just because he thinks he can't see or is hidden, doesn't mean the hunter cannot. And this is exactly what the Belgians done with you. They thought they can bring whatever to hide it, that they can control it, but the Chinese are using it extensively. As I said, go back on a history, very recent history past. You remember, I said that, and the members of the European community governments are online, they can check that. If you remember, till a couple of years ago, North Korea was very rapidly developing all weapon technology. All. Because the Belgian, Mr. Braconier, was selling European, what we call systems, rocket systems, through the private accounts of the king to the North Koreans. When we exposed the hand, we see no more from North Korea, because no more gives information to Mr. Braconier to pass on, to sell. And the biggest nuclear threat to the Chinese government and everything else has stopped. We nations have used the knowledge to create mayhem for each other by certain people. We source them in the private bank. And so your governments know. It's just, who do they want to implement it? Or they go back on everything else. Doesn't matter to you if you have one of these energy systems and one of these gas systems in the house, you don't pay any electricity, you don't pay anything for the rest of your life, and you can give the unit back to your children and your great-grandchildren. This is the very first time, it still works. Doesn't matter if the Russians boycott the gas or the Americans decide not to send food. The governments know about the technology very well, because don't forget, 75% of all population governments collected the key and they studied the key. And this is what will come to us in a very near time, near future, in how we apply the technology for ourselves. This camera is too close. Can you pull it back? Please shorten the screen. Any other question?
Thank you very much, Mr. Kesh, for your excellent responses and for bringing this wonderful technology. And I wish to call upon governments across the world, and especially those in Africa or African countries, to accept this wonderful technology that will bring self-reliance, massive development, and save lives across your borders. The technology is here, it's cheap. Why are we so afraid of things that work? And only so
we are not afraid. We are not afraid. It's not afraid. It's the bank accounts of how it's paid, who gets paid. We are hoping maybe by close of business today, before we finish, or we put a very special, what I call the fourth blueprint, to make announcements about the Keshe Foundation and evolution of this technology around the world. We have given the counterparts, which is with us till today, to complete and respond. And then we explain to you exactly where we are and how we work as one nation to bring that position in the right condition. We have given them time till today, a close of business. Otherwise, we'll come to you, then you know how and why. Any other questions?
Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Kesh. Godspeed.
Hello, Mr. Kesh. This is Dimitri. Thank you so much. Dimitri.
Yeah, from?
Thank you so much for everything. My question is, when is this planet going to see the end of pedophilia?
I don't know, but it has become a fashion by the nation. You see, when one can get away with it, the others do. In the holy books, the punishment is not there for you that you're going to get it. It's a deterrent that you don't do it to get it. It's not that if you do it, you get punished. It's for you not to do it to get punished. If United Nations puts the sanctions is put on Iran for knowledge and technology, on the states like Belgium for pedophilia, do you think it would have lasted that long? No, because as I said to one of the EU people very recently, are all the members of European Parliament pedophiles? If it's there, you all know United Nations puts it on the head of the nations of pedophilia. Why you put your headquarters in there? Is there a kindergarten underneath of the EU headquarters? How come we get punished for knowledge, advanced knowledge, which they don't have, but we don't get punished for abuse of children? This is the question which is not answered and cannot be answered. You, as European citizens, write to your members of parliament, stated the fact. This is the United Nations headquarters report on one of the most nations involved in this child abuse. And why are you going there for your children? How come you don't go to Iran and learn technology, but you go there to have headquarters and go there all the time? And then we have a headquarters in Strasbourg. French are safe. But this is something that has to come in line with the governments. And don't forget, the biggest pedophile in the whole structure for over 50 years, unknown to all of us, is the one who's been writing to all the governments, delivering papers from my work that I'm a spy for Israel. Did the Iranian government ask, Madam, can you bring your pedophile cases and prison sentences for pedophilia in the state of Belgium? Nope. Going to prison, being in custody for years, for being part of the active cell and all the cell going to prison for years, which none of you knew, we didn't know, we just realized it during the process of investigation. Now you understand how we've been vulnerable to all these things. And it says, why Keshe Foundation is always involved? And it's a ramp. We didn't get involved. The oldest court case pedophile group was in-house. Prison sentences, documents in the police station. There is no allegation. The whole family. We are glad we are rid of the Belgians. At least my children are safe. I don't know about the one I lost. Go and check the documents in the archives of the courts, in the archives of the police stations in the Belgium and the others, and then you understand why and how we've been targeted without knowing. Long-term prison sentences. Now, the Iranian government believed these people, and you can believe the rest. It's for you to investigate, not us. We have all the documents. We know what we're talking about. So it's not going to end unless the humanity, the soul of the man changes. The way you come here and you go through the system and the pains goes, maybe putting these people through the system, the soul grows from the dimension of physicality of emotion of a child. And then you understand how Belgian king and royal family, which are heavily involved in this job, were so closely tracking the Keshe Foundation because they had their oldest agent in the system. I wish for an elevation of their souls. Don't take my word. Go and check. There is no allegation. These are the truth sitting within the courts of Belgium, within the newspapers of the Belgium, and sentences passed and prison sentence served. And it's still undercover monitored because there are too much involved. Any other question?
Okay, we have a hand up from Alexander. Go ahead if you can open your microphone, please.
Alexandre, Brasil.
Oh, we need
Portuguese or
Portuguese.
I think
Alexander?
we have Rafael here for that.
Yeah.
Hello. Oi, Alexandre. Por favor, pode falar.
Ok. Bom dia, senhor Mr. Cash. Bom dia a todos. Obrigado pela oportunidade. Eu gostaria de saber se existe alguma atividade sendo já desenvolvida para que o Brasil possa usar essa tecnologia. E, posteriormente, eu tenho uma segunda pergunta, se me permitir, claro.
Ok, só um segundo. So, Alexandre, say first, thank you very much for the opportunity to be here. So my first question, I have two questions. My first question is, there is any activity for Brazil to use this technology?
Yes, called Rafael and the Brazilian knowledge seekers. You got one of the most active knowledge seeker teams on this planet because we monitor some 32 languages and what we call teams. And by God, every day, sometimes it goes a couple of thousand, 1,000 communication in one day. You're very active. And you have a beautiful team with Rafael and the rest of the Keshe Foundation Knowledge in Brazil. You have a beautiful country and you have a beautiful knowledge seekers. So what else do you want? It's you to do it.
Posso fazer a segunda pergunta?
Sim, Alexandre, por favor.
A minha segunda pergunta, como foi explicado pelo Sr. Cash, nós teríamos a apresentação do carro que estaria flutuando com a tecnologia, né, sem a parte gravitacional. Existe alguma previsão de novamente colocar esse projeto de volta? Obrigado.
So the second question of Alexandre is, you are going to show the flying car some time ago. So there are any forecasts for you to show again this car?
Oh, that's obsolete. You're sure he's flying your souls. What do you want a car for? You still want to take 2 hours to get from one place to another when you can do it in 2 seconds? Yes, it will be shown. It'll be done. It's part of the joy of the system. Yes. But we are not in a hurry because to me, I would like to leave the donkey behind and go with the jumbo jet.
Ok. Muito obrigado, então, senhor Mr. Cash. Obrigado, Rick. Obrigado, Rafael. E obrigado a todos. Bom dia a todos.
Bom dia. There are structures at force for us to, in a way, you have enough rattling. I'm moving my microphone to fix it. We are in a process which is important for all of us. And I explained to you, we are hoping in the next few days will come to some sort of census between the Americans and the Iranians and in negotiations where to fly with a system, to travel with a system. Do you mind, Dean, if you put your camera up there? Can you turn it up that far? This one. On those two reactors, do you have an angle on it? You don't see it? Are you sure? Try. Yes, somebody else has got it on. To have, can you see it? Yeah? Can you see them? That's not your picture, is it? Okay, that picture's better. To have these flight systems, which are the part of Iranian space flight system, in the background, the two, you need nuclear-based material that you can create a rapid, heavy plasma. And at the moment, if you go into the lift and that kind of thing, you still need that. Embedded inside these, when they were tested in Iran, there is some 200 nuclear radiation sources, plus the radiation we created inside. As long as, and we are not giving another excuse what the Belgians did to come to the house and to the lab and confiscate the nuclear sources and put them in a drawer in my lab. We don't get a clearance from IAEA that the Keshe Foundation can endeavor to revive this technology. You are grounded with the physicality of travel. When it comes to feeding you, moving your soul, everything else, creating methane gas, we can use natural radiation sources, which is in the nature. Comes into space flight, you need nuclear plasma technology. These are called nuclear reactors. And I can produce at any time. But I don't give an opportunity again to hooligans like Belgium to bring this technology to a halt once now with the health side and with the space side. You're all dying of diseases which are curable. You're dying, you're suffering from the pains in your physicality, which should not be there. And it's all is in my palm. You keep a nation of the hooligans, you pay for it, you suffer with it. I have given the knowledge free, but I cannot do any more for you. The same, your flying car, your UFOs, your flying system from Beijing to Tehran or whatever is on hold till IAEA and Americans and others accept that this new plasma technology in nuclear has to come into play. We have no choice if you want to go that way. And in a way, it's very good because now, instead of going the physical matter state, we are going very fast in the plasma and the energy state. So it's a very good stoppage that we don't go because then you get distracted by it. You go from city of Brasilia to New York, go to the airport, get from your wherever you are to there to go to fly and everything, take you maybe half a day. John did from Argentina to come to the conference in Brazil, I think 2 days, or use the new knowledge and do it in second. So it's good in a way, but if you want to have a flying car, if you want to have a flight system, IAEA has to produce a certificate for the Keshe Foundation to be able to use nuclear plasma technology that it can move physicality. Then we are done. You'll have your car tomorrow. If we could get to the soul of so many of you yesterday on a telephone line through our system, which you've never done yourself, you cannot do it unless you have the remote control from here. So you see how hard it is. You have to live with the physicality. Rick, would you like to tell us what happened yesterday after I left? Or would you like to tell us what happened in your workshop?
Well, when you came in and directed things to some degree, you sort of interviewed different people in the workshop and got their experience of what you offered, and that was quite revealing. And different people had different responses, of course, but some similarities as well. And for example, there was a feeling of fields and a feeling of sort of a bubble around some people that talked about their experience. You see, after you left, I don't think we carried on too much longer. We got into some of Brigid's images and kind of went off on a different tangent, but very appreciative of your intervention there, you could call it. And it was a beautiful experience, and I think we should experiment more in those ways. There's a question, for example, in the Q&A here from Alexandra from Brazil. Are the people who have had contact with this new system in a closer way going to experience any physical, emotional, psychological, intellectual, and behavioral changes? What transformations can this system bring to people?
From the people if I can answer it, from the people who've been through the system, we have about nearly 100 people gone through the system up to now. With a few we have spoken, they tell us, yes, they have changes in physicality, they have changes in emotion, they have changes in behavior, they have changes in eating. As I said yesterday, and people who came here this week, now that we know what happens, your journey starts from the time you leave this place. We just, in a way, sell you the ticket. You carry the rest of it. And the changes are fundamental for some of the people. We had a lady here on Tuesday in a helping wheel, what do you call it, frame. And she came in with a lot of back pain and everything else. We wanted to see how we can, she wanted, apparently for what I understood, wanted to see one of her relatives. But when she came out of the system, says, I can move. I can do this, or I can change that. We have this a lot. A lot of people report to us changes in their habits. They don't fight with each other anymore. Somebody says, I'm more calm. I don't get angry anymore. These are the things we bring all these 100 people or so now together in the next couple of weeks to assess the after process. What happened then? And then see what happens. And then see what is interesting. One of the interesting things for me is the lady which went through the process after she met Christ, bless his name, in a physical dimension. I want to know what happened to her. What was that? What's the next? What contract she's made? What is there that it brings us knowledge? We have a very direct, detailed explanation of his dressing. The color of hair, the eye, as I said, the feature, the voice. And the interesting thing is, we didn't have this till this Tuesday, because these are certain questions. It's like wherever you come out, you look to you very friendly, but it's like a questionnaire. We have to tick everything. We set the new systems we changed the system as of Tuesday, because last week we had no work here, in presentation, what you call testing, but the development of the new technology has gone on. And this is a question we asked from many people from the beginning. Did you smell anything? Did you have any emotional? The new system gone in since yesterday, Tuesday. People now tells us they can smell. A lady was telling us she can smell the water of the bath. And they can smell what we call the environment there. It means in the process of perfecting the system, now we have covered the emotion of a smell, which wasn't there till last week. So as we're progressing, we're adding to the knowledge. Now, the smell is part of it. Many people come in through the system, they cry. We ask them, they say, we don't know. It's just just wet tears comes. I sometimes come out and get what they call a tissue paper for them. And they don't even know why they're crying. But I know why, because the trip is with the soul and the physicality is inside, sees the emotion and it reacts. Physicality reacts within the dimension of envelope of the soul, and they just are in tears. As a guy said when you came and you told us this, it's like a fog inside. It's a fog. I can hear you, but it's like a fog, like being in the water and hearing your voice. I said, yes, because your soul has covered you. You still listen to my physicality. In the time of dream now, the soul goes out and coming and going information. You gather some of it, you call it a dream. Now you're inside, the soul is doing it without you being involved. So it looks like you're in a veil, as he said. And many people say that. We just heard you said something and we did it. And the strangest thing is, it was important for us in the trials. What happened if we move one person from one unit to another and vice versa? And we could do this for the first time this week. We switch people from one unit to another because they're slightly different, and they could carry on with the same dream. So they could carry on with the same, what you call a dream, but what we call the process of the soul being in work, talking to mother. I asked them, can you move? They go to them, we carry on speaking to mother. Because the environment of the room is a shell. They're part of it. But it's important for us because now it shows we can do the transmutation easily. This was a key point for us, to be able to take people to move chairs from one unit to another and carry on. So now we are ready to do the transmutation because we keep the environment of the room as it is. We keep the environmental system as it is. The two systems are connected. It should be a flip of a finger very soon to transmute, put you in chair number 1 system and take you out of chair number 2. And it won't be a magic. As I said last week, the people in the lab have started, they're working on this. Dean, if you can bring it here, that we can transmute you through a system like this. If you don't want to go anywhere and you're going alone, you're welcome with your suitcase. And as I said, I'll put you on one side of this port and I'll take you out of the other side of the port. And you're used to go to airports and spend 10 hours, 18 hours flight. You go into transmutation port and you're there instantly. Don't forget the gift you're taking for you from mom. You can't say, Mom, I forgot. It takes a long time to go back. She says, go back home. It takes you 2 seconds, bring my gift. No more, oh, I forgot to bring you something because I never bought it to bring it now. Says, go back in there, it's 2 seconds. Last time you paid €1,000 to get across, this time it's free.
Mr. Kesh, there's a question. regarding the meaning of instantaneous when it comes to soul travel from you, from the live stream. And so he says, can you explain a bit more about the meaning of instantaneous when it comes to soul travel? Using the field of plasma, does distance not exist, or is it just so fast?
It's so fast. People who've been on it. Are there any knowledge seekers online who've been to the system and they took a flight? They can tell you they took actually what we call transmutation. How long did it take you from the time you were told you can go till you got there? Do we have any knowledge seekers in the background who can tell us? Do you see any hands? They do it instantaneously. Pardon?
I was thinking Stefania might be able to help with that, but I'm not sure if she's available. I've opened the microphone, allowed the talking.
If the people online who's been here and did the trip, they can explain. It's instantaneous. And funny thing is, when you listen to some of them, they go and pick up their mom or their dad or their girlfriend, and then together they go somewhere else. And it's instantaneous. Something very strange has happened here in some of the tests is that we had somebody from Nepal, I think, a few weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago, a guy came and he said, I went to Nepal and it was so nice. I went there with my girlfriend. I said, how did you? He says, my girlfriend is in Nepal. I went there, I picked her up and we went together wherever they went. And strange enough, because that line with Nepal is open in the system, we had a couple here yesterday who actually were born and raised European, but in Nepal. And she said, I could smell the water which passing because there is water has a smell in Nepal. And so it's instantaneous. She said it was there. I was there standing on a bridge with the waters. It's the scenery she knew. She lived in Nepal for 30 years. And so it's there and is instant. You can go and do and see people and go to another position. You don't travel anymore, you go to. And this is the beauty of it. And people come here, the only wish is to see the father or mother or whatever, and they come out with tears and joy that they have managed to ask why and whatever, or do you want to go for a dinner and the rest of it. And they come here to look for answers. We are not here to answer. We are travelers of the space. And as I always say, we provide the aircraft, which is your, what we call the craft, not the aircraft, the craft, which is your soul. And as you usually get on the aircrafts, the pilot doesn't care, is not concerned if you are sitting in your chair, you're playing with your child, you're hugging your lover, you're planning to go, once you arrive at that point of ascension, to somewhere else. His objective is to get you there. So the dreaming and physically doing things is your job. And this is the same as what we do. We are not there to influence your mindset. We are there to create a new transportation system. And we're getting there.
Stefania had mentioned in the chat, every time Mr. Kesh talks about the flight system, the feeling of being in the system in my body comes back instantly. So it's a form of instant communication, I think.
Yep. Any other question?
Well, we have a number of hands
Yes.
up here. Go ahead, Ernest.
I'm sorry. Hello. Good day, Mr. Kesh. Good day, everybody else. I'm so happy that you are showing and the team with you whatever you have always said for years and years. And that is something As I said in Tuesday, as when I listened to your past interviews of 2011 or 13, 14, and every time you had the same discourse, you were talking about the same things, the same creations, the same logic. And that's extraordinary, because sometimes we are septic people around us. And so everything you do is being examined. And that's wonderful. And I congratulate all of us, humanity and above, for having you. And now the knowledge seeker can develop all that for the betterment of life of everybody. And I thank you for your having a look on the children, which are the weakest of the society these days, which are not realized as their rights for life. And that I know that cost you very much. That has cost you all you have had, and you're still there, and we are proud of you. I think a lot of us and will in future be proud of you. Thank you very much. I have no words to thank you. What I was going to say that I wrote on the chat about the technique for firefighters is if there's anything, because there is forest fires in summer with this dryness of the woods in here. Everywhere soon will start, and I'm as you know, I'm emotional, and I feel very sad about these trees, which take very long time to come back, and they cannot save themselves. It's us to save them, and the side effects on future. So with the actual, okay, is there anything to the point of utilization at this moment? Because we know about the CO2 gas for fire, but is there anything that we can suggest to others, to anybody around us, or maybe the mayors or authorities, or anybody who wants to listen to? Is there anything to offer to them at this moment?
Yes, but we have to actually deliver it, to show it. And this is part of the future teachings, that we show this, how it's used for fire and how it will stand the course of what we call the annual fires. These fires are needed. We cannot, just because doesn't suit us, trying to change the course. Some of the fires, I know it costs heavy, but is part of the cycle of the life on this planet. It brings new life, it cleans the past, but it brings a new cycle of the motion within the structure of the planet. Some fires are accidental, but natural fires we see is part of the life of this planet. We try to interfere with it, we'll pay heavily for it. We have built our homes in the path of the woods. The woods didn't come to make their homes in our path. The way we get diseases and we die, the way we get earthquakes and happens to our cities, the life cycle of the plants, trees, grown in certain areas are there to create conditions of survival for this planet. This is something we have to accept. Then we see not all fires are bad. We build our homes in where they decided to be and how to regenerate. So if it comes to house fire, if it comes to other things, accident, yes, there is the system technology is going to be delivered. We are doing something in the background that once it takes shape, fundamentally changes everything around the foundation. And how the technologies will be delivered, how fast we do things, and speeding up the delivery. But just bear with us, as you said, what I said in 2011, 2012, still now shows its validity. Give me a few more days and weeks till we deliver the other side. It needs to be done. We have invested a lot of time and finance on it. You knowledge seekers helped us a little bit in past 2 or 3 months to bring that into closer to reality. And that's what it is. They would not do it for us. We have to do it for ourselves. And to do that for ourselves, I set out a new course for Keshe Foundation about 8-9 months ago. I set out to bring a new change in a way to set up a new structure for one nation, one planet. And I have instructed our team to transfer all my assets, which is in my name, to the Keshe Foundation. The process of transferring the assets of the foundation back to has started. So this is part of the same course. Keshe Foundation Austria, share and assets holding in Markray, other assets held in my name on trust of the Keshe Foundation. I started the process of transferring back to foundation, which means I carry no assets, even though I stay as a trustee. And in that process, we have started the process of one nation. And gradually need to set up the Universal Council structure as an entity and the Earth Council's entity and bring them to manage. And you have the heads of the Keshe Foundation, 2 beautiful women there, to make sure everything gets through in a slow process. And then you have the backbone for what I call national assets of the Keshe Foundation, which will be equally responsible by all the Universal Council members to see. One Universal Council member cannot say, I want this in my country. We want it for whole planet. How we plan it? What's the best efficient way for all of us to have it? Is not lobbying for factories and research centers, is lobbying for all of us to benefit by it. And as I said, the transfer of the assets of the Keshe Foundation to which I've been a trustee for a long time, has started, is taking shape. And soon you as knowledge seekers have to start taking charge. How you want things to be done. And then if agrees with what foundation has, will be transferred to reality. All the, what you call, companies, all the factories, all the assets in names and organizations, which are built up through past years, now is officially getting transferred back to the foundation. And as I said, I stay as a trustee. Till in the future, I'm sure the 2 heads of the Keshe Foundation, the 2 ladies will become the trustees, hopefully, and then it goes on to the next generation. And then we have to structure a one nation government through assets of the knowledge, what we get as knowledge, and then what we go to the next step as a knowledge. I came with nothing and I'll go with nothing because I have everything which I want in the universe. It's you humans who are attached so much. But I don't live a life of poverty and slavery just for others to be a hermit. I live the life of pleasure because I have everything I need. I created everything for you to have the same life. So you better learn from me to live the beautiful life and not to live the life of the past to be suffering because you want to serve. With the pleasure, you serve much better than with the slavery.
Thank you very much. Just one question about the same way about the floods. Like I used to hear about the floods in Bangladesh at the time. And I'm happy we have a good teacher in Bengali language and very proud of. What about these floods? Now it's in...
They are needed again. See where the flood is. See how Bangladesh was divided. Bangladesh is a back end of Central Asia, which all the waters from the top comes and it goes into the Indian Ocean. And it was India. And India, when it was India, they had the same problem. It's a cycle of their life. You hear about the, what do you call it, the floods in Bangladesh nowadays. I remember in 1990s, we were in our business working heavily with Bangladesh because it was mainly cheap labor more than anything else, and it was easier to do things there. And I remember there was this massive flood. Go and check it on night. It was in news. And after the flood, we got our containers back. I've never seen so many cockroaches of different colors and shapes and sizes in our containers, which the containers were in the port when the flood came, and it was there and it literally cooked everything. Whatever was seed in the clothing with the cottons we bought, it became animal in that container with the temperature and the moisture. And these floods have been there for years. And I saw it firsthand, the results of it when we received our goods. And so it's needed. It brings life to that part of the world. And mankind should move from these places. Or would we come to the time, as our friend said, I want a floating car, can we make a floating houses that in time of these things, they move somewhere else, and when it's finished, come back in. They go to North Africa. They go up 200-300 kilometers further up with a new system. Maybe we don't need to become refugees and flood up. We just go to somewhere nice and new, and when the flood's over, we go back home. There's going to be a lot of changes with new technology. I can see the life of the man by mid this century will not be the way we know it today with this technology. No way. It cannot be.
Thank you very much, sir. It was an honor to be talking to you indirectly. And thank you, Rick, and everybody in the background. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we have Christopher, or it's Christoph. Microphone is still
Hello.
open. Hello,
Can you
go ahead.
understand me?
Yes.
Hello. Hello, hello.
Yes, we hear you.
Can
you hear us?
Can you understand me?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Hello,
hear you.
Rick. Hello, Rick.
Yes. Hi. Hello.
Hello, Rick. Can I speak in German, please?
We have translate.
And translate by you.
Just one second. Have Andreas there. Can we bring Andreas up, please?
He'll have to end his German translation room and
Good.
maybe there's somebody else who can do German.
Firstly, thank
There's
you
Dirk.
very much, Mr. Cash.
Dirk can do that.
From begin, I am by you, and I have a question, but this is very difficult to do.
Try it. Sag es in Deutsch. Say it in German.
Firstly, thank you, Cash. Thank you, Mr. Rick. Thank you, and Andreas for translate, and Klaus Piller. Ich bin von Anfang an bei Ihnen.
I've been there from the very
Bin
first
ich der
time.
Beste ich habe viel mitgemacht, aber ich habe nicht viel erreicht.
I tried a lot, but I didn't accomplish a lot.
Aber meine Frage ist folgende. Sie hatten sehr, sehr großen Erfolg in Fukushima.
You had very big success in Fukushima.
Für die Zukunft haben wir sehr große Probleme mit Atomenergieversorgung.
Wir haben schon eine Lösung. Herr Kescher hat das
Da Sie ja
vorgestellt.
so großen Erfolg hatten bei der Eliminierung von Atombestrahlung, Herr Kesche, gibt es Möglichkeiten, diese Verstrahlung bei den Atomkraftwerken so zu eliminieren,
There is a possibility, Mr. Cash,
als Abfallprodukte natürlich, dass es für die Leute, für die Menschen in den Orten, wo neue geplant würden, möglich wäre, dass die Leute weniger Angst haben müssten wegen dem Abfall.
Darf ich die Frage kurz auf Deutsch beantworten und dann auf Englisch übersetzen?
Eine Bewilligung für eine neue Anlage leichter zugeben könnten.
So his question is there a possibility that the foundation has a device to
Das
protect,
wäre meine Frage und vielen, vielen herzlichen Dank für Ihre riesengroße Arbeit.
so is there a possibility of the foundation to protect nuclear plants? And Mr. Cash already said that we have the possibility of a generator which builds a plasma field around the atomic plant. So even if a nuclear explosion comes away, like in Fukushima or Chernobyl, the plant will be protected and no radiation will come out. As far
This
as I remember.
technology exists, and I developed it in 1980s. The structure of a thought to do it came early that time, and it is part of the development which over years I have brought into what we call being able to do so. And it can be done. I know Germany is made the decision to move out of nuclear industry in some ways, but yes, knowledge is there and technology is there to do it.
Hast du weitere Fragen? Do you have any more questions? Okay.
Vielen, vielen Dank. Das war alles, was ich wissen wollte.
That was all I wanted to know. Thank you very much, Mr. Cash.
Very much. You got to remember, I've got to explain, I don't know if you remember, I'll explain. Queen Mary College, University of London, has been one of the very few universities with its own nuclear reactor. But at the beginning of the nuclear industry, there was not much knowledge about the dangers of the nuclear reactors. If you go to Mile End, where Queen Mary College is, there used to be a building on a corner of the street of Mile End and the side road which goes right through Queen Mary. And that was a nuclear engineering department. In the basement, there was the whole building was built on a hole of about 12 meters deep. And we had a floor on the ground, and then we had a huge basement where the first prototype nuclear reactors for research, more or less in the Western world, was built. And then they realized that this nuclear reactor is literally in the center of London, but nobody knew, except the university people, graduates like us, and the government. So what happened was that this is Mile End Road, where the university is. You have a road which comes up it, and in this corner, you had nuclear, and here you have the unions of the university, the union, and the rest of the buildings. This was here in the basement of Nuclear Center. This was moved a year, 2 years before I became a student. And what I did, they moved it up the road. Those of you who know London call it the Bow. They say if you hear the bells of the Bow, you're a real Londoner because it goes back to the time. And here, just by Bow, there's a very small river which comes into Thames River. And the university and the government decided to move the reactor to this side. And so we used to have a minibus going in and coming on a regular basis. And this was my second home as a becoming nuclear reactor scientist, as one of the only ones in Queen Mary College for some years. I had a lot of freedom. And my thesis, final thesis, was the radiation leakage out of this site. And I proved in my thesis that if this is the nuclear reactor site, the fields, what they thought when the reactor was centered here, will be contained in this dome. With testing, changing nuclear fuel rods, and proving, we showed actually the peak was sitting outside the nuclear reactor. People outside were receiving more radiation than actually the scientists inside. I submitted this in June 1981, and immediately with the same instruction, immediately by beginning of 1982, the site was closed down. And doing this test, one of my main concerns was at that time that what happened if this reactor exploded and how we can hold it in. And that time, the conclusion of the research, which I submitted to Queen Mary College and was submitted to British nuclear government authorities, was that the explosion will reach beyond into center of London and passing West Ham and the other side. And it goes Liverpool Street, the banking system, this is what they call a stock exchange. And it was decided rapidly, they cannot take a risk. That test, critical test to show that the peak of the nuclear radiation was outside than inside was critical. And I decided at time what happens, how we do it if it happens. It was no use putting, as we did in Chernobyl, blankets on it. It was holding it in. And I set out to develop a technology that pulls the radiation inside. And the easy way of it is, the technology we know now is embedding below the housing of the nuclear reactors a massive gravity system, which has radiation capability spectrum, which means anything which does will go back inside. And this, due to transfer of number of what we call other reactors around the site, will be spread and controlled. This is the only way we know at the moment we can contain nuclear reactors explosion, where we centralize it, pull it in, and as we have, like the way the stronger feeds the smallest, we spread it around and literally becomes a satellite system. This is available. It costs not much. It's just that you drill a bigger hole in the ground. When you're digging, you go a few meters deeper, you find, if this is your reactor, you go somewhere deeper, and then you set your reactor inside it. Any explosion like Chernobyl, where radiation will go inside, you get debris, no problem. But nuclear field radiation, even as debris, will be centralized. And then if you look at the other angle of it, this is your basement. You create number of reactors around the site, so you spread the energy and you control it. Because in going and spreading, the fields will be given to the environment within the ground floor below, which already buried. You have no contamination. We know this technology. If you were in a oil business before Iraq-Kuwaiti war, a lot of you know that there were 2 or 3 very rich American companies. If you had an oil explosion on an oil well, what they used to do, you had an oil well here and you had a fire you couldn't control. The Americans come, sit like 500 meters away, drill a hole, and then close the tap, the oil well to it. And then they used to control it. Now we can do the same thing. Even the present nuclear reactors go underneath a concrete base and build this to do it. And you know what happened with this? Nowadays, this is obsolete as a joke, what the Americans do, because when Saddam Hussein came and he blew all the oil wells of the Kuwait, the Americans invited everybody because it was about 400 or 500 on burning and they couldn't control it. It would have taken 6 months for each one of these to be done. A beautiful Romanian company came with 2 jet engine. The whole thing was to stop the wire. They put the reverse of the, what do you call it? The jet engine on it, and they start literally cleaning up by just blowing up the fire out, and the rest was capping it. And they're paying millions to the Americans to do this. They collected all the millions and they went back to Romania. So it's in the same basis. We dig even the present nuclear reactors. We go to the below concrete base where the reactor is and establish drill holes around the reactor and do the job. Any other question?
Yes, I want to, because this is a knowledge seeker workshop, I want to give some knowledge for all the knowledge seekers from this, for the seed of the problems of the mess of this on this planet right now. And I know you're speaking Farsi, so in English there is one extreme important word missing, and in Farsi it's called mafak, but not purus. You know mafak, Mr. Cash?
What?
Mafak, it's called in Farsi, as far as I understood it from a guy here. Mafak, yeah.
Mafak means succeed.
Yeah, in English it's succeed or well done, but it's a big difference of mafak than to do it well or to succeed.
To succeed.
Yeah,
To
but
achieve. It's an achievement if the word of
Yeah.
it you translate
yeah.
it.
And you think a word and then you say it and then you do it. And when this word is missing, you cannot do it. So this is the reason why so much mess is going on this planet, first by the Englishmen and then by the Americans on this planet right now. That's what I want to give knowledge to all the knowledge seekers.
Yeah, but it's been all of us in different time, different countries, different rulers have brought different mess. And we all
Yes.
live part of the results of centuries of abuse of each other.
Yeah.
Any other question, please? The beauty about today was the introduction of the methane gas and the control of what we call plasma technology for energy. And this is what we came here today. And that's why I call it a blueprint. Other things we talk about is a sideline to what is actually a blueprint today. This machine in its simplicity will change the structure of the energy construction, energy use, supply, control of nations by the others. And I think we still can show, Klaus, would you like to measure again for a third time that the thing still works? We can increase the, what we call the gas production, but it's too dangerous, it's methane. We can show you the test. We had a fire, backfire into the tank in, pardon? Okay, the system's covered. We tested in one of our tests. Am I allowed to show that, Klaus? You don't mind? The burning? I can show anything. Okay, no problem. We show you, this is why we don't want to put the ignition on this, because on a test during the weekend, we had the backfiring of the methane into the system. And for that reason, we preferred not to, because it left the marks in our, what do you call, system. Just let me transfer it. And then I share it with you. You can see the pipe is totally black. And we don't want to have these incidents here because it's critical to understand what we do. You can see the pipe totally black inside. We have tested it, it burns, and it's just to be safe, we do not open it here. And in the background, if you can see another horizontal enhancement unit is getting assembled, is on the table of production. This is our lab in Austria. So the system actually burns. It does say what it does, do what it says. Would you like to? Can you zoom on it? Can you see it? You have to change your camera. You're on the wrong camera. Yeah. Okay, you're sitting there, you can go. You see it's a no gas, no, what do you call, methane. Oh, you saw the blow. It goes even up to 4. But leave it time, it goes up to 3. It just calls on demand. It's good. If we leave it, it'll become a massive production. You can produce, this is a continuous production, so it's not one-off calls.
We had a question from Antonio in the Q&A. Thank you for the release of the gas system. My question is, how long will it take to fill a normal size gas bottle in our car?
You don't need to fill up. That's the old fashion. Now your system is your gas bottle. The system is set. You call upon it as you need it. You saw it with the test in Tehran. When they stopped burning, the bubble became faster. If you can pick that picture frame from Tehran, you see it. Thank you very much. You want to close it before? We can increase the production, but we are in a confined space in the exhibition. And as part of our lease agreement, we cannot do anything with a fire here. It's against the regulation. But we showed you the burnout in the lab over the weekend. Any other question, or shall we call it a day? It was a nice presentation.
I just want to announce that I just started a website called billiggas.org, which means cheapgas.org, which directly points to the gas enhancement generator, so that everybody can read it in German, English, Italian, and French.
Thank you very much. Any other question?
Maybe Dirk, you can put that link in the chat here so that people can have access to that.
Yeah, I will do that now.
Maybe we can address a question from Jefferson here. It's kind of important. It says, my name is Jefferson Modesto from Brazil. It's an honor and pleasure for me to be able to be here with you. Thank you very much for your presence among us. Here in Brazil, we have difficulty making donations to the Keshe Foundation because PayPal does not accept the use of our currency for international transactions and many knowledge seekers do not have an international credit card. Could the Keshe Foundation open a bank account here in Brazil?
We have a bank account. Keshe Foundation is a company registered in Brazil. Keshe Foundation is the majority shareholder and is with Rafael. You can make donations to the bank account of the Keshe Foundation, and the funds will be used by Keshe Foundation Brazil for Brazil. The accounts is reported annually to us, so it's like the others, like Australian Keshe Foundation and others. If you cannot send money out of the country, Keshe Foundation Brazil is a registered company of the Keshe Foundation. And it's nearly over 2 years, and it has a active work, donate to your own country bank account. And there's no problem because we get the report from Brazil, and you have trusted man as a trustee of the Keshe Foundation, Rafael, in Brazil. You should have no problem in Brazil to make a donation to the foundation, to the what we call a subsidiary of the Keshe Foundation, which is Keshe Foundation Brazil. Rafael, what's the name of the company? And can you say it in Brazilian, in Portuguese, and release the bank account? Are you there, Rafael? You're translating.
I think he's coming back here. Hello, Rafael.
Hi, Mr. Cash. Hello.
Okay, could you explain to the where they can make donations and the bank account of the Keshe Foundation in Brazil, please?
Yes, we are arranging with our accounts regarding this because they tell us that since we are a company that's a limited company here, we need to resolve some issues regarding this to receive donations that we are dealing with this. But once we settle this, we will release our bank account so the Brazilian community can donate to our company. Yes, but very soon we're going to.
Let me explain to you what the way can do. It's a very easy way to get around it. You sell a pen for a donation for 1 cent. People can pay you €1,000 to buy a pen from Keshe Foundation. You're a company, yeah? You understand? So if you cannot resolve the matter to receive a donation, you sell a pen for a price. People can pay the price of the pen as they like. You understand? Rafael? He's translating.
Sorry, I was translating. Yes,
Yep.
we have. Thank you, Mr. Cash, for this, and we have even a knowledge seeker here in Brazil that she deals with this part of selling shirts also, and this was an idea that came in our community here to sell a shirt, and people can, and by buying the shirt,
Donation, yeah, it's the easiest way is a pen or a shirt. They can say the color ran is not my size or whatever, but you make a donation. This is the price you pay so much for the pen.
Oh, okay. Thank you,
Yeah.
Mr. Cash. We are going to organize ourselves. for this.
You can trade and just put in there donation, just put one item for sale, and that item is a pen.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Cash. We're going to organize ourselves for this. Much easier, really, because we're having a lot of problems with this part of the donation here for our company.
Yeah,
So,
but you're a company, trading company, you can sell things. So,
yes.
and say, if you need it to be delivered, please state you pay for the shipping. So a lot of people just pay for a pen, they don't want it to be shipped. You
Yes.
understand? So
Yes.
go ahead. You can pay or pay a PayPal account into, and then your annual account shows what you received through donation. So you're sorted.
Okay. That's perfect. Thank you, Mr. Cash.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You have to remember that you put in there, I buy this pen for the price I want to pay. Any other question?
I know you want to wrap it up here soon, Mr. Kesh, but maybe we'll get more and more person in. Someone I don't think we've heard from before, Saga SS. Let me can you open your mic and go ahead, please? Did you have a question or a comment?
It's a mistake.
It may have been an inadvertent hand, as we say.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Rick. Thank you
Oi,
very much.
Rafael. Tá me escutando, Rafael?
Ah,
Yeah.
Alô?
okay. I think we need Raphael once again, perhaps.
Você me escuta, Rafael?
Sim, tô te ouvindo. Yeah, he's from Brazil. I'll translate his question.
Good morning.
Sim, sim. Pode falar sua pergunta, sim. Alô, Saga? Pode fazer sua pergunta. Cannot hear Saga. I think he's having problem with his audio.
Thank you very much.
Okay, well, maybe he can get that sorted for next week.
Next time. Thank you very much for coming on.
Oi,
And
Rafael.
we see that bubble.
Eu tenho que abrir alguma outra coisa?
I better stand back. I came right in your camera. Yeah. There it is. This is a bubble of
Eu não
methane.
estou escutando nada agora.
Oi, Saga, pode falar agora. I think he's having problem to listen to us. I think he's having some issues in his microphone and audio to listen to.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Just let it down. We'll see you next week. Thank you very much for being with us this Thursday, 440 something. And hopefully next week we try to give you something new. Keshe Foundation is working on a technology which creates a clean water, drinking water system. Once it's completed, it will be addition to perfection with the producing water and food from the same water. That bubble is a methane, and it was a myth that the animals have to die, that their body and the gases create oil and gas from decomposition. We can see how easily methane is produced in a natural conversion of the plasma fields of the sun into matter state of the gas. Look, another life. Next week, we go back to normal teaching, unless there is something which is about to happen in the Keshe Foundation. We are expecting it. And if completed as expected, we'll let you know. And please understand this one. I want to clear, especially in the Italian community, has caused a lot of misunderstanding. This generator is what is in public here is for demonstration to show that the system produces energy. The generator you buy is for 2 kilowatts energy system and is different than a plasma system, which is supporting to reduce your electricity bill. You can buy both system and interconnect it, or you just buy the generator and it's a generator, because I know a lot of Italians had a problem with it. It will be a very small size, smaller than this refrigerator, and is a 2 kilowatt generation power system that will be delivered. And the big box is just a demonstration to show that it produces power. It's a continuous power production. You can, I think it's been put at 10,000 euro. You have the gas production system, which is now on, and you can order it and purchase it, and we try to get this out as fast as we can. The same with the CO2. CO2 is not for this presentation of today, is primarily for the governments, for the change of the course in Russian gas boycotts. And we use this presentation for government officials to view, to test, and to expand as fast as we can in the coming days. Thank you very much for today. Thanks, Rick, for being there. And you never know, I might have another surprise for you for your next workshop.
We look forward to surprises, Mr. Kesh. Thank you very much.
Thank you indeed.
Thank you for continuing to surprise us, even now, a dozen years later, and many hundreds of workshops, and we still get some beautiful surprises. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I hope you enjoy it. I think the best thing is for your knowledge seekers to purchase the gas units as fast and the energy as we can, that we can put it in, the governments can see the change. Then you can invite the press to your house. You can invite the other people to you to see it. And that will bring the whole thing fastly to an end from the hand of the boycotts from the, what do you call it, the press. When you use it, it'll go by the word of the mouth. Thank you very much for today. And hopefully we'll see you next week, or something happened interesting, we'll tell you beforehand.
Okay, terrific. Thank you for another fascinating workshop, Mr. Kesh. And thank you all the knowledge seekers and everyone for attending today. And thanks for your questions and comments. This has been the 443rd Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, July 28th, 2022. We'll see you in the next public teaching workshop in the One Nation, One Planet, One Race for World Peace. And let me get the date for that. We'll be into August then. It'll be August 2nd for that workshop. And that starts at 4 p.m. Central European time. And that will be with members of the Universal Council and Earth Council. Oh.